All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. Christmas is over for those of you that celebrate, and now, even though it's just been a few days, it seems like it's been millions of years ago. And we are moving forward. Haven't had a video for a few days because of the holiday season. I actually have family in town, so I'm doing this video before I hang out with them and have some fun and maybe watch Star Wars again. But I watched this film that I'm going to review last night, and I am so excited to review it. I have lots to say about it. I am reviewing Bajrangi, Bhaijaan is how I'm going to say it. I feel like that's the closest that I can say it according to how my boy Faisal says it at the end of the film when he's chanting his name, the main character's nickname, Pawan's nickname. This is a film by Kabir Khan, who I've not seen any of his other movies, but he was a consultant director or something like that on Sultan, which is another Salman Khan film that I have seen and reviewed. And this is now two films I've seen from Salman Khan. We've reacted to a few of his other films, and I know he's a polarizing actor. There are people that are way on one side, way on the other side. But I'm going to say that I am becoming a big fan of Salman Khan. I like the two films that I've watched him in. I like his ability, even though he seems older in the films that I've seen him in. I know he's been a star for decades now, but he's the kind of guy who is very good at portraying a lovable character, portraying a genuinely nice character as he portrays in this film. He does it very, very well. And in this movie, he's very religious. His character is Pawan. He's a follower of, he calls it Bajrang Bali, which is a part of Hinduism, as far as I understand, as I looked it up on Wikipedia. And I love his devotion to religion. I'm a very religious person myself, and so I connected with that, and I highly respected that. And he was respectful of other religions, but he was very nervous to go into a Muslim mosque or to do other religious activities as he's with this girl, because he doesn't want to offend who he worships, his God, so to speak. And so I really connected with that character. But before I get into it, I'm just going to start off with what I did not like in this film. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I did not like. There is one thing I will talk about that it was not something that took me out of the film, but it was something that, if we're going to talk negatives, let's be honest, this was one negative I had, and it seemed like a lot of parts in this movie, a lot of plot points in this movie were very convenient. And this happens in a lot of films. This is not the first one to do it. But there was a lot of things that were not really believable. Like, for example, when he is and this is going to be full spoilers, so if you have not seen this film, check it out. It's on Amazon Prime, and then come back. But I'm going to be talking all about plot points and things that happen in it, so here's your warning. But when he, at the very end, when he's going from Pakistan to India and he's in between there, that whole part of, the person, the main, I don't know who he is, who's in charge of the police and the soldiers, maybe one of the main prime ministers or something of Pakistan, I'm not sure, when he tells the soldiers and the lead detective to not let Pawan back into India, and they all do it anyways. That was very convenient. All these people were going to ignore orders, and the soldiers with their guns are going to say, well, if you storm us, we're not going to stop you, kind of a thing. He's walking around with the little girl that he calls Muni, her real name is Shaida, and they're going around the second half of the film, and they're in the mountains, and they're camping out, and they're trying to find a certain thing. She's a little girl, and she's never complaining, and she's never too cold, and they're camping out, and it's got to be freezing out there, and she's got just like a few thin layers on. And there's so many other things that happen. He goes into this place when he needs to rescue her, and he's able to beat up all these people and throw people out windows, and no one has a gun and shoots him for, storming the castle, so to speak. There's a lot of convenient things that happen, and that was my only negative with this film. Again, most movies that I love have conveniences that don't really make sense, that aren't plausible. And so it did not in any way ruin the film for me. But those are my negatives. That's it. I absolutely love this movie, and you guys told me I would. You told us you would. You told Boring Land it's a great film. Many of you who don't even like Salman Khan said, I got to give it to him. This one's a good one. And you're absolutely right. This is an endearing film. This is a fantastic movie to watch. This is very captivating. In this film, I look at it as basically there are 5 films in this film. And there's nothing wrong with that in this film. Sometimes that can be convoluted, that can mess things up. But in this movie, there's nothing wrong with that. The first of those 5 is where we have our main character, who is super adorable. She is played by Harshali Malhotra. This is her first film. She's the 6-year-old. She is mute, and she gets separated from her mom. Her mom and dad and family live in the mountains in Pakistan, and they're concerned because she's mute and she can't speak, and she's 6 years old, and she gets lost and almost falls off a cliff. And since she's not able to speak or yell for help, they get really, really concerned. We got to figure out this not speaking thing. So they want to take her to a holy place. So in India, I believe, they want to take her there and get her healed, so to speak, through prayer and through holy mans or something like that. And so she gets separated from her mom. She steps off the train as they're traveling to help this lamb. The train goes, and she is by herself. And as a father, as a teacher, that was a very sad part. Jody was actually watching the movie before she was going to sleep. I was watching it kind of late, and she was enjoying it. And then she got to that point, and she said, "Nope, can't do it. That was very real. When you have a 6-year-old, anybody, boy or girl, and they're left by themselves, that's terrifying. And so she is. She's by herself, and she can't speak. And so that's kind of the first film, is her story with her family and then her getting separated. And then we have the second film where the second part of the film is where we have Pawan, our main character. His nickname is Bajrangi, and it's all about him and meeting his girlfriend, Rasinka, and it's their whole story. So Pawan, he is this lovable, I don't want to say a lovable idiot, but he's a lovable, naive, not the smartest guy. And he's telling this story to these guys on this bus that he's on. And he's telling them about how he failed, basically equivalent to us in America, 12th grade 10 times. He could not pass high school. 10 times he took the test, 10 times he failed, and then he had to keep going back. And so he basically was a 28-year-old high school student still. And his father kept getting more and more upset with him. His father was very strict and expected a lot of him, and he wasn't able to succeed in anything. And so he would hit him and slap him every time he failed. And so the 11th time he passes, and his father doesn't believe it. He finally hears that he passes. He has a shock of his life, and his father dies. That was kind of weird. And so his father's last wish was for him to go to a big city like Delhi and to do something out there. And so he does. He follows that wish. He goes out there. He meets his family. He helps the father of the girl that he ends up with in a wrestling match, gives him some tips, and he wins favor over the family. And so it's not that he falls in love with the girl at first. He kind of wins favor over the father. The father wants to give him a job. And then him and the girl don't get along at first, but it's very short. It's not as long as in Sultan, where it's a long time where there's no chemistry. But she starts to love him pretty quickly, and it's their story. And that whole story was fine. That was probably my least favorite of the 5 segments of the film. It wasn't as interesting. It was a little muddled around as that plot went around. But it's important for this film. We've got to know what the stakes are for him as he goes on his journey later on. We got to know what he's working towards. And what is he working towards? He is trying to earn enough money so that he can buy his own house or rent his own house so that he can marry Rasika. And why is that? Because her father, it seems, is pretty well off. very successful man. He tries to arrange her to marry a nice family, a boy in a nice family. And she says to her father, when the boy's there and the family's there, she says, I don't want to marry anyone else but Pawan. I love him and I want to be with him. But Pawan is this guy who doesn't really have a great job, and he's living with the family. And so the father says, okay, you have 6 months. He loves his daughter so much. You have 6 months, Pawan, to show me that you can provide for my daughter, and then I will give you my blessing. So he's working towards that, and he's earning money, and things are looking good, and he's just a few months away from having the deposit and the first month's rent and all that kind of stuff on his own place. And so everything's working good. That sets up the stakes. And then we have the third part of the film, and the third part of the film is where we have this girl that got lost, Shida. She ends up being with Salman Khan's character, Pawan, and he's such a nice guy that he feeds her first, but then she follows him around, and basically, before you know it, he has unofficially adopted her, and he cares about her, and so she stays with him. And he is trying to figure out where she's from. He understands that she needs to go back to her family. He's not just going to keep her forever. He wants to move on with his life, but he wants to do right by her and take care of this 6-year-old girl by giving her back to her parents. And so their whole relationship in the film is the best part. It is the most powerful part. It is what is most worth watching this film for. She is an amazing little actress. I looked it up on Wikipedia. She's only been in one other thing that came out this year. I hope she's able to get more jobs. I hope she's able to act as she gets older. A lot of child stars can't. But she is fantastic. She doesn't say anything for most of the film, but she is fantastic. And her relationship with Salman Khan is amazing, like I said. It's what is worth watching this film for. And so they build chemistry right off the bat. And it's not something that you would see like typical child adult film where the that sounded really bad. It's not what you typically see where a kid and an adult are on this venture together in a film where the adult is so annoyed with the kid and can't stand the kid. It's not like that. Pawan's character is a very generous character, a little confused but generous, and so they build a bond pretty quickly. And you learn little things about her as it goes on, but one of the best things is when he's trying to figure out where she's from, he tells her, if I figure out the city, and he thinks in India, that you're from, I want you to raise your hand. And she says, okay. And so he's naming off all these cities in India. Other people on the bus are where he's traveling. People in the family are constantly naming cities, and she just says, no, because she's from Pakistan. She can't communicate that. And he's not thinking Pakistan because why would you? It's a different country. And so when she is watching a cricket match, which is awesome, we've been doing some videos on cricket. Her family was big into cricket. Obviously, in India, cricket's huge. And so they're watching a cricket movie. Yeah. They're watching a cricket game on TV. There we go. In Rasika's father's house. And they put Shida, what they call money. They put her in India shirt and India flag paint on her face. She's watching the game. When Pakistan starts to win, then she starts to cheer. And the father's getting mad and he's getting frustrated, like I do sometimes in sports. Tells her to be quiet. Tells everyone to be quiet because his team is losing. When they continue to score and it looks like it's over, she stands up in front of the TV and she starts to clap. And her smile is just so infectious. She starts to clap and cheer. And the future father-in-law is, what is going on? And when that happens, Pawan is kind of off to the side talking to his fiance, and he realizes, oh no, she's from Pakistan. Pakistan, India, those relations are not good whatsoever. And so it's almost like the enemy is with us right now, and the father's not going to take that too well. Most Indian fathers would not take that too well at all. And so that elevates the stakes. And when it's so awesome, because when Pawan asks her, are you from Pakistan? And she goes like this, it's awesome. So that's our third part of the film, is him trying to figure out where she's from. And then the fourth part of the film is the future father-in-law. He says, you got to get her out of here. You got to get her out of here. You're supposed to be taking care of my daughter. You're supposed to be saving up for my daughter, and you're messing around with this kid. What, are you going to have this kid forever? Blah, 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 blah. And you understand his point of view. You really do, to a certain degree. And it's about him trying to get rid of her in the easiest way possible. And so he goes to a travel agent, and he finds this guy who says, oh, yes, I have connections. I can get her to Pakistan. It'll cost you a whole lot of money, but I'll take care of it. And so he has to make this tough decision. Do I use our money that we've saved up for our house so I can guarantee myself to marry this girl I love? Do I use that to get this girl home? And as you're watching the movie, you think, oh, yeah, it's an easy decision. Give it to the girl. But no, that's not an easy decision. This is his future. This is his love life. This is the person he's in love with that he wants to marry. And he, of course, being the guy he is, he makes the decision that, yes, I'm going to give that money to the little girl so she can get home. But he finds out that he gave it to the wrong person. And I don't even want to know what they were going to do with her. I really don't want to know. I don't know what they were going to do with the kid, but this guy is shiesty, takes the money, takes her to this questionable establishment, and who knows what they're going to do. But Pawan finds out, and he's not having it, and he goes in there and he storms that castle. And as unbelievable as it is, it's super awesome. He goes into this place where is like a burlesque home, we'll say. He goes into this place, and he goes into every room, interrupting these relationship meetings, we'll say, until he finds that she's in here in the main room, and he's not having it, and so he rescues her, and he beats up a bunch of guys, and it's a pretty awesome scene, as unbelievable as it is, and takes her out, and realizes that he needs to take care of this on his own. And then we have the fifth part of the film. We have intermission. That's all in the first half. So it's a lot in that first half. It's very convoluted, but not in a bad way. It tells a nice story. It sets everything up. And this is the great thing about this film, is when you have your payoff at the end, and we'll get to that in a little bit, if you don't have a setup, if you don't have anything established, if we just rush through it and we have too much exposition, then it boggles down the payoff at the end. And even though there's a lot going on, there's 4 different films happening in the first hour and a half of this film, less than an hour and a half, you run the risk of it being too much. But it's not, in my opinion. It sets everything up so that when we are following him in the second half with her, trying to get her back to her parents, it really works very, very well. The payoff is very strong, very emotional. Unless you have no emotions at all, you're not going to be able to have at least a few tears from coming from your eyes. And so the payoff is awesome. But that doesn't happen if the first half does not establish it too well. Yes, there's a lot going on, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching that part of the story. And the acting and everything else is very good. The interactions with the characters, they've got different diverse characters in there, different personalities. All that's very, very good. They don't really waste our time too much with this or that. But then when it gets to the second half of the film, after the intermission, this is where the movie goes from enjoyable to top-notch. This is very, very, very captivating theater movie to watch in the second half. It truly is. It's awesome. I really, really, really enjoyed the second half, and I'm selling it a lot, but it just goes from a good movie to a really, really good movie once the intermission hits. And it's all about Pawan has decided. He's gone to the embassy, that didn't work. He's tried every channel, didn't work. He tried travel agency, nothing else works. He realizes he needs to take her back himself, which is an impossible task because he cannot cross the borders into Pakistan without a visa, without a passport, without permission. And he tried to get that, but he wasn't going to get that. Nobody cared about it. And so he decides, I'm going to have to just walk her over. But the border, I'm assuming everywhere, I'm not sure, they got these walls up and they got these chain link fences and they have border patrol, so to speak. And so he finds this guy he knows about these tunnels underneath, secret tunnels that Pakistan is not supposed to know about. So they go through the tunnels to Pakistan and they make it. They don't get caught. There's no one around. But there's people coming in about 10 minutes, and this other guy, he's like, come on, we got to go. We got to hide behind this dune here. We can't let them see us. And Pawan, being such a honest and good-hearted person, he says, nope, I'm not going to go hide. I'm going to stand right here and make sure I get permission from Pakistan to enter their country. And the guy's like, are you crazy? They're not going to give you permission. They're going to shoot you. These people are not joking around. We've got to get out of here. And he says, no, I'm not going to do it. Even Shida, she's like, come on, we got to go. And he says, no. I mean, this guy's crazy, but he's not willing to go. And this is one of the things I love about this character, where he is true to his beliefs. He's true to his way of life. It's not just a facade that he puts on. He truly believes what he believes. And he does not want to, he calls it being sly, I think is what he says. He does not want to be dishonest. And so he waits. And it's a really funny, enjoyable scene where these Border Patrol guys from Pakistan come over, and they're like, what are you doing? As you could imagine, they're arguing with him, they're beating him up, and eventually they find out that he is trying to get this girl back to her house. I guess the main Border Patrol guy feels kind of sad, so he's trying to be tough, and he says, no. He says, well, first, sorry, he kicks him out, has them go back into the tunnel. They fill up the tunnel so he can't come back. They leave, they come back in the patrol, and he's on the other side again, went to a different tunnel. And every time they ask him, how'd you get here, he tells them about the secret tunnels. He gives it away. He tells them the guy's name that helped him out. And he's so honest, and they said no. They said, you got to get out of here. Eventually, he feels bad, and he says, fine. I'm going to go do my rounds. I'll be back in 10 minutes. If you're not gone in 10 minutes, if you go that way or that way, I'm not going to do anything. But if you're still here, we are going to shoot you. And so they leave. But that's not good enough for Pawan. He still has to be dishonest there, so he doesn't leave. He stays right there. And so then when they come back, are you crazy? We told you we're going to shoot you. And now they got their guns at him, and he keeps saying, I just need your permission. I promise I will go back to India once I find her family. I promise. I just need your permission. I don't want to be dishonest. Eventually the guy's like, yes, I get it. You don't want to be dishonest, but I can't just let you do it. And then eventually Pawan wins, and the guy's like, fine, go. And all the soldiers are like, sir, sir, sir. And he's like, I don't care. Just get out of here. This guy's nuts. But he obviously appreciates and respects Pawan's character and integrity so much, even though he's Indian, that he couldn't allow himself to shoot him or rough him up or arrest him or anything. So he just lets him go. And I thought that was crazy, but that was awesome. It was suspenseful. Like, what are you doing? Just, be dishonest. Everyone doesn't. But he wasn't willing to do that. And even with that scene at that part, at the beginning of the second half of the film, where it establishes that he will not be dishonest, we see as the movie goes on, he does develop a little bit into a way where he's willing to be a little more dishonest in a roundabout way. He justifies allowing someone else to lie or this or that to be able to, or disguise himself, to be able to get this girl where she needs to be, because he finally starts to understand the dangers that he's in, even though he's a grown man and he understands how Pakistan and India, they don't get along, especially if you don't have the proper documentation. They're not going to let you just walk around freely in their country. But I thought that was nice how his character developed. And we have this nice story as the movie goes on of him trying to find her parents. I'm not going to give you scene by scene like I've been doing so far, because it would just take forever. But I really enjoyed the journey that these characters went on. And as the movie goes on, you really care more and more about this young girl and Pawan and their relationship as almost like an adopted father, even though she has her own father. And it's truly awesome. She still cannot speak anything. And then he meets this reporter, and I feel like this guy was awesome in this film. Obviously, he's Faisal from Gangs of Wasseypur, but I want to get his name correct. He's played by Nawazuddin Siddiqui. Man, that's a long first name. But he plays Faisal in Gangs of Wasseypur. He is playing the reporter, Shand Nawab. And at first you think he's going to be kind of shisty, as we assume all journalists are, even though we know they're not, but in films they are. First he's just But then he hears Pawan's story as he's on the bus following him around. He's calling the cops, hey, he's over here. And he starts to really care about Pawan, and he's basically his partner in crime the rest of the film. And I really like that dynamic. The three of them were fantastic. I'm just going to keep calling him Faisal because it's easier for me. He was great in this movie. He truly came through and helped Pawan where Pawan really needed some help. And so basically what's going on for the rest of this film is Pawan gets captured by the Pakistan police early on, and they arrest him. He has no documentation. He shouldn't be in Pakistan. They believe that the girl's Pakistani, but they don't care because he is an Indian. The relationships are not good whatsoever. There's stuff going on in India at the Pakistan embassy where people are infiltrating it and taking it over, and it's never, I think, a good time for that kind of stuff, but definitely not in this part of the film. And so they think that Pawan is an Indian spy, and he says, I'm not a spy, but they don't believe him. And so when they're in the police headquarters, Shida, the little girl, she sees a picture of a place that she thought was her hometown in the mountains. And so she raises her hand and smiles and is trying to tell Pawan, this is my home, and he gets excited. They steal the picture. He's able to escape, and the rest of the movie, he's on the lam, and these police are trying to get him, and they're calling their upper-ups, and they're talking about the spy. It's getting on the news. Everyone knows there's an Indian spy. And so Pawan is being chased the rest of this movie, which elevates the stakes again. If he's able just to travel around and it's just a cute little film, that's fine. But this gives more intensity and more tension. And not just that, but I feel like the best part of this second half of the film, besides the relationship between the characters, is that we see that if you're Indian, I understand that India and Pakistan do not get along as well at all. But you see that there are good people in any country you're from, no matter how the relationship is between the two countries. And there's a lot of people in Pakistan, in the movie, but in Pakistan that care about this little girl even though they don't know her, and they want to help her and Pawan out, and so they're willing to not tell the truth to the authorities, and they're willing to help them as their journey. And I thought that was very powerful. And I feel like that was a strong message that the filmmaker was trying to bring, that it's not about countries, it's not about relationships, it's about individual people. And it doesn't matter where you're from, you're going to get good people, you're going to get bad people, you're going to get honest people, you're going to get dishonest people. But they run into some really good people, like at the Muslim mosque in Pakistan and a few other places. They even trick the chief of police, and that was a pretty funny scene. I'm not going to get into it too much, but that was a good scene too. But they're traveling along, and they finally get really close. They get to the mountains. At the mosque, they find out the picture is not from her hometown. It's from Switzerland. And he asks, are you from Switzerland? And she says no, but it looks like that. And so they get to the mountains, and they're so close. The police are following them. They're on their tail. The reporter, his cameraman, has been captured by the police and has been forced to help them out. So they're calling him. He's calling him, his buddy, trying to figure out where they're from. So they're on the trail, trying to chase him down, and he gets so close. And then, I mean, it's hard to explain this without going over it so quickly, but basically we realize that she's at the same place that her parents are at. She doesn't realize it until after they recorded something, but she's so close that they find out that since the police are right there and they're shaking down all these buses, once they find out where she's from, and that was a great scene, they talk to the bus driver, are you from this district of whatever in Pakistan? And she gets so excited, yes, that's where I'm from, and they're celebrating. He's kissing the hand of the driver. It was kind of funny. But they know where to go. They're right there, but Pawan realizes that he's not going to be able to go with her, that the police are right there. So he runs off, has the police chase him as Chan and her go off to her house, which is not too far away. And at this point, Chan has made this video that he put on YouTube about the story because none of the news report channels care about the story. They want, he says something about all they care about is evil and hatred. They don't care about goodness and love. And I thought that was a powerful line. And so he creates this video. And it doesn't get too many views, but he tells Pawan, don't worry, people will start to watch it, and they'll be able to help us out. And by doing that, he creates this kind of hero-esque type persona for Pawan. They call him Bajrangi, Bhaijaan, which means brother Bajrangi, which is the obviously the deity that he or the figure that he worships. And so it creates this whole hero stigma in Pakistan and India to where they just want him to be free and they want her to find her home. She does, and that's a great scene where she finds her mom finally, and the mom is just so beside herself. She's so much loves her kid and her daughter, obviously, but cares about her well-being since she can't speak, and so they get reunited, and that's great. At the same time, Pawan is chased by the police. It looks like he gets shot, and I thought he dies at one point, and I thought someone spoiled in the comments that he dies in this movie, so I said, you gotta be kidding me, he dies. But he doesn't, but he gets interrogated, he gets beaten by the police. The chief of police is basically, and the main prime minister, whoever that guy is in the government, says, we don't care about this guy, let's just get him to confess that he's a spy, even though we know he's not, and let's get done with him. And man, there's so much in this movie. But thanks to the reporter Chan's news report and the other news outlets that have now picked up the story and have gotten behind Pawan, they help convince the people to help out. And so then you have the end, where basically the detective who's interrogating Pawan knows he's not a spy. He knows he's telling the truth. He goes against orders, and he is going to deliver him to the border. And in order to do that, he wants some help. So they get the reporter to make a news story where he says, India, Pakistan, let's come together at the border. Let's convince these officers to let this man go from Pakistan back to India and be done with, since he got this girl back to where she's supposed to be. And so they do that. They all show up. His fiance's there, and she's so excited that he's not dead. And he's walking with his cane because he's been beaten up. But now he's friends with the police officers. And so they convince the officer, and he says, okay, fine. The border patrol officer, he says, there's a lot more of you than there is of us. If you storm the castle, so to speak, we're not going to stop you. We're not going to shoot you. So they bust open the doors. They open up the pathway, and Pawan is walking through the icy water in the mountains as he's crossing, and people are cheering, Bajrangi, Bhaijaan, Bajrangi, Bhaijaan. And it's a great moment. And then you have the little girl and her family who come back so that she can say goodbye. And that's a really powerful scene because she's trying to get through all the crowds of people, and he's walking farther and farther away. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, she's going to say his name. She's going to say her first few words to get his attention. That's the only thing, because they're being so loud. She gets to her part of the fence where she can't go any farther, and she starts to try to speak, and she tries to speak, and just sounds are coming out. And then she gets a word, uncle, out, and she's so surprised with herself, and her eyes are so red because, it's cold outside, and she just wants to see him again. And then so she starts to cry out, uncle, and I'm starting to feel it right now because it's a really powerful part of the film. And then the noises kind of go down, and he starts to hear something, and he turns around, he sees her, and he's just amazed. The parents are amazed that she's speaking, and she says some other phrase. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember. But uncle. Oh, I think she's saying Hell Shri Ram, which is what he always says. And so she runs out to the open gate, and he runs back, and it's a very great, powerful scene. And this is the build-up from the first half of the film. It leads up to this payoff, this ending of it's about their relationship. And there's a lot of symbolization or country, whatnot, in this ending because they embrace. He throws her up in the air, and then it freeze frames there, and they're right in the middle of Pakistan and India borders. They're right there. There's a Pakistani, there's an Indian, and they just truly love one another in like a father-daughter type way. And it's obviously teaching the moral that it doesn't matter what country you're from, you can find family in different countries if you give it a chance. And let's get along, let's not fight, that kind of stuff. And it's a powerful message, it's a powerful ending, it's a fitting ending, and it's a great movie. This solo review is definitely my longest so far, but there's just so much I like about this film. It does not have the best acting, but it doesn't matter. The acting is more than enough sufficient. It has really good writing, really good storytelling, and it has great characters. And for me, if a movie has great characters and it has a great plot, I don't really care about the rest of the stuff. Those things are so important. And so when it comes to a grade for this film, I'm easily giving this movie an A+, just because I have nothing about this film I did not like. Powerful, yes. Emotional, yes. A story worth listening and watching. And the only thing that would make it better is if it was based on a true story. But the child actor did a great job. Salman Khan did a fantastic job. I still don't understand all the hate for this guy, but that's okay. As a lot of the audience members have been commenting that I'm probably forgetting something in this review, but that's okay. This is already almost 40 minutes long. I'm not going to get to everything, but I love this movie. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Let me know what are some of your favorite parts of this film. I went through a lot of mine. There's a lot more that I missed, but that's okay. But hope you guys are having a nice rest of 2019. We will be getting videos out more regularly as the holidays get over. But until next time, adios.